Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today, some gnomes have decided to start their businesses in the backyard of Frutabaja. Now they must know how to manage their money and obtain terrains to place their little businesses. However, in Frutabaja dwells the dirty Blordo, who is willing to get everything dirty so that the gnomes' businesses fail and never have neighbors. Now each of you are trying to succeed on your own, but everyone can lose if the Blordo succeeds in making things too dirty. Backyard of Frutabaja is for 1 to 4 players. It plays in 30 to 90 minutes and is published by Nomo Sapiens. It's on Kickstarter right now, so I'm going to show you how the game works, and I'll see you on the other side. This is a Kickstarter preview, so all the art and components you see here are prototype. They're not final. You're going to want to check the link in the description of this video to see all the final art and components. Now here we have the game set up for 4 players. Each of the players is going to get a business on one of these spots at the beginning of the game, and each of these businesses point to that player. So this one is this player's, this one is this player's, this one is that player's, and this one is that player sitting on that side of the board. And these are different land that players will be able to put businesses on, and over the course of the game, you're trying to run your businesses and make monies, which is essentially money in the game, currency, and keep it clean. Because to win the game, you want to have all your businesses clean of the Blordo's dirt and pay it $20, and if you're the first to do that, you'll win. Now this is the Blordo character. Over the course of the game, he's going to be going on to different businesses and placing some of his dirt. And if this character ever places its last dirt out onto the board, everybody loses. So the players sort of have to work a little bit together to make sure that not everybody loses, but at the same time, they're still trying to be the only one to win as well. And over the course of the game, players are going to be building up different businesses, and they're going to be basically buying them and starting them, and hopefully these businesses are going to be making them money, and they're also going to be able to activate different cards with different special abilities. These are called lucky cards. So that's what you're trying to do in a nutshell. Let me show you how the game's played. Here we have 1 die of the different colors, once for each of the 4 players. Now, what happens is each round, 1 player is going to be the active player. It's going to be the player's die that's on the end. And so each of the rounds goes through 3 different phases. We go through production, buy and build, and cleaning. So in production, we're going to look at the 2 dice values that are at the right here. So we have a 6 and a 3. We're going to add those up, and that adds up to 9. Then we're going to look on the board and see if any businesses are on plots of land that have the number 9 there. If so, they are going to essentially pay out. So we see that this one is a 9, so that's it. So this business, which is ours, and this was our initial business. Every player gets 1 of these, and they'll decide and set up where they go, and each of these spots costs a certain amount of money to go, and people start with a certain amount of money. But this is going to pay out, and it's going to pay out that much, and of course this arrow shows it's ours, it's pointing at us, so we would get 2 monies. And here, a special ability will also activate. This is when this business produces, you have to distribute 1 clover from the bank to one of your competitors. Now, clovers are one of the currencies in the game. They actually help you buy and activate some of these lucky cards, which we'll talk about in a moment. And they also help you manipulate the dice, which we'll also talk about later. But it's a good thing to have clovers because they'll help you out. So by getting 2 monies, it helps us because it's giving us money, but we have to give a clover to somebody else with from this initial business special ability. We can also see there's a number 9 here, and one of the other players, the one that's sitting on this side because of this arrow, it has their initial business on a 9, so they're also going to get 2 monies, and they're going to give somebody, one of the other players, a clover from the bank. At this point, the active player is going to take the Blordo from his cave at the beginning of the game and place it on one of the tiles that has that number that is the sum of this round's production. So we see a 9 here. Now, we could place this in an empty 9, but we know that this is a different player's business, so we're going to put this here just like this. Now, it's going to take 1 of the dirt and also place on this business because this player is trying to mess your company up by making it too dirty. And remember, this is important because if the last piece of dirt from the Blordo's cave is placed out, everyone loses. Also, it's important because if Blordo is on your business, or if there were ever 3 or more dirt on your business, it does not use its ability. It's completely incapable of doing its ability. So whether or not the Blordo is there or 3 dirt, either one of those 2 conditions, that business does not use its ability. It also won't produce monies either if this number is rolled. So if next round there was a 9, this would not use its ability and it would not produce. If it was like this, and you have either 1 or 2 dirts without the blorto there, it would produce next time a 9 comes up, and you'd be able to use the ability. So anytime there's either 3 dirt and or there's the blorto there, it won't produce, nor will the ability be used. Then we go to the buy and build phase of the business, where the active player can buy and place one of these businesses. Now, this shows you the price, this shows you how much money you'll get when it produces, and they each have an ability. For example, the art studio costs $1. It doesn't get you any, but the ability says when this business produces, you get 2 clovers. So that'll help you do other things in the game. Or the eco power plant, it costs 5, and when it produces, it'll produce 4 monies. And when you build this business, each player gets a clover. So it's really good for you, but it helps out some other players as well. Or we look at the business building, it's $5. You'll get 3 if it produces, and when any adjacent businesses produce, you get $1. So it helps to put that next to where other players' businesses are, or maybe even some of your own. So there's many different types, and each of them have different abilities, and there's plenty of different ones that you might be able to buy. Now, in order to build one of these businesses, you need to be able to afford the business itself, and you need to be able to pay for that plot of land, and these cost a different amount. Obviously, the number 7 is the most because this is the number that when you're adding 2 numbers up, it's most likely going to be 7 with 2 dice. So this one costs the most because it's probably going to produce the most. Now, I normally wouldn't have enough money to buy one of these right now, but I'm just going to show you just to pretend I had enough money. Let's say I had enough money here, so I'm going to put $5 for this eco power plant. And let's say I had another $4, so I had a total of 9, and I would put this here, and it's facing us because it's ours. Now, if I didn't have enough money to place a business, but I really wanted this spot, you could buy this for 4 and put this sold spot on it. That sort of reserves this for you. It doesn't have to be the next place you build, but you can build here later if your sold spot's on it, and in that case, you just have to pay for the business itself because you've already paid for the land. But in this case, let's just say we've had $9, or 9 monies, we were able to pay that. Now in this phase, you can also buy a lucky card. Now sometimes they cost money, like 2 or 1, and sometimes they cost clovers, which we talked about. And these are activated right away. Like for example, you could pay 2 monies. With the garbage truck, you clean all the dirt tokens from all the businesses in one row. So for example, if this business later on had a lot of dirt, but there wasn't done anybody else's, hey, this might help me out. I could do that, and it would clean all these off, for example. Or maybe you pay a clover for taxes and each player loses $1 for each business they own. So that's good if you don't have as many businesses as other players. The food cart actually would place that token on any spot. It could be an open spot or it could be where a business is, and it counts as a business, and it actually will make you 1 money when that spot produces. Now speaking of purchasing and placing businesses and or using these lucky cards, you can pay 1 money or 1 clover to wipe this, meaning put these 4 at the bottom of the pile and put 4 new ones out. Same for either of these rows. Any row you can spend 1 money or 1 clover to completely refresh that row because maybe there's not something else that you really want. Also during this phase, you can pay a clover to change this die up or down 1. And so I could make this 5 a 6 or this 5 a 4. Now, if it was a 6, you could actually make it a 1. But let's put this to the 4. It went from a 5 to a 4. I paid a clover to do that, and I did that on purpose because next round, these 2 dice are going to slide down, and 7 is going to be the number, and that's where I just built my business. So that's a good way to sort of manipulate things to make sure that businesses you just bought are about to, pay out and produce. Then you go to the cleaning phase. Now you can pay $1 to clean up 1 dirt token. You can do that as many times as you want. Because let's say this is what my initial business looked like. There's 3 dirt there. It means it's not going to produce, and I'm not going to be able to use ability. So I can pay $1 to move one of those up. And now that there's only 2 dirt tokens, if a 9 is the number again to produce, I would make the 2 and have this ability. But maybe I want to take some more out. Maybe I spend $2 and I take those out. You can spend as much as you want, $1 per dirt. And the dirt always goes back to the Blorto's cave. Because remember, if at any time all those dirt are out on the board, everyone loses. And then finally, you're going to take your die, which is at the end, you're going to re-roll it, and you're going to slide everything down, just like this, like that. Now, it's going to be the next player's turn, and this is going to be the active producing 7. And players are to continue taking turns just like that. But there are some special tiles. This column here on the left is sort of randomly placed where they are and which row they're in. Now this one, this is the fountain. It makes this tile cost 1 more, so it costs 2 to be able to place a sold or a business here, in addition to what the business would cost. But it also raises the value. You'll get 1 more monies back for it. This is the opposite. It's the cemetery. Instead of it costing 2 to build here, it only costs 1, but you're going to get 1 less. Now the bank does something different depending on how many players. This is a 4-player tile, and once on your turn, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just use this. You can invest 2 monies, and 2 turns from now, you're going to get 3 monies, but you can't invest in it again until after, past 3 turns from when you invested it. So this turn, I invest 2 coins to the bank, and next time it comes, I get 0. My second turn, I'll get 3, and my third turn, I'll get 0, but then on my 4th turn, I can invest again. That is pretty much how you play the game, and the winner is going to be the one that has all of their businesses free of any dirt, and you're able to pay Blordo 20 monies, and you'll win the game. And there's also a version of the game called the True Businessman mode, where there'll be some gold tiles that will be placed out in addition to the keep all your tiles clean and pay Blordo 20. In addition to that, there'll be a certain amount of these that come out depending on how many hat spots there are. You need to have 11 total, including this. So you wouldn't use all of these, but use some of them. They're randomly placed until you have at least 11 spots that will get you points. And these are different objectives to do. Like, for example, you would need to pay 3 clovers, and you'd be able to put one of your cubes here. And you'll get a certain amount of points depending if you're the first, second, or third one to do that. And in this case, you'll win when you have placed all 4 of your cubes out there. Or when that same victory condition ends, and then you see who has the most points, and that's going to be the one that wins. Well, there you have Backyard of Frutabaja, and as I showed in the overview, you'll be trying to manage your monies, businesses, and dirt in this family-friendly economic game. Now, if you'd like to see all the final art and components and all the different pledge levels available, you can click the link below me in the description of this video. Now, that's going to take you to the Kickstarter project page, and I'm sure that Nomo Sapiens would love your support. And they've also published Card Game, The Card Game, and have produced art for games of other companies like Dodo's Riding Dinos and War for Chicken Island.